Go to the PowerPoint. Okay. Yes. Is this okay? Good morning, everyone. So today's topic is horticulture for sustainability and food security. For next 1 hour, we'll be discussing about what is horticulture and how one can promote horticulture in the farmer's field. So I'll be sharing some of my experiences in promotion of horticulture in southern part of the country. But why are we talking about the horticulture, or for that matter, fodder per se? Why do we want fodder? Whether because farmers are comfortable with feeding the crop residues or feeding the concentrate feeds. And when the situation is happening and going on, then why are we talking about fodder? Do you think the fodder matters in the country? Definitely, because you all might have come across many farmers starting with the dairy farming with all the pomp, but eventually they reduce the interest. One of the main reason for this is the economic loss. They end up with the loss only because they practiced the faulty feeding to the animals, because they relied more on the concentrate feeds. As a result, it created an imbalance in their cost benefit ratio. So to ensure that to have a profitable livestock rearing, one need to have a good fodder, green fodder availability to their animals all through the year. When we look at how the fodder availability in terms of dry matter is spread across different states of the country, and here you can see that the states which are with the green color, they have a surplus dry matter. This is followed by the states which are having the yellow color. They represent the adequate dry matter availability for the livestock or for those states. So when I'm speaking about the surplus states, the surplus availability is around 165%. That means if they need 100 kilo dry matter, they still have a 65 kilo dry matter excess available in those states. When I'm talking about the adequate dry matter availability states, that means they have around 90 kilo or 90% of the required quantity available in those states. But when we compare about the moderately adequate, like it's a bluish color states, here we can say that around 72% of the states are having moderately adequate. And when we talk about the deficient, there are only few states which are marked, which are very deficient. That is only 3 states: Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, and one more states. And there is one state, that is Jharkhand, which is very severely deficient. So this graph says that only in few states of the country we have a surplus dry matter availability. In most of the states, it is either adequate or below the adequate dry matter availability in the state. So this makes us to think about how to enhance the dry matter availability for the entire country. So one of the ways to ensure that the fodder is available to the different countries, the different states, is the promotion of the horticulture. I'm sure most of you know about what is meant by the horticulture. We'll just divide these two words. Let me take some time. Okay. So when we are talking about horticulture, we all have studied what is meant by horticulture. So here horticulture encompasses different crops. It encompasses vegetables, flowers, as well as fruits. But in this particular term of horticulture, we are referring horti to the fruit crops. We are referring horti to the fruit crops. Still, we find so many fruit crops which are grown across the country. Which are the fruit crops which are suitable for promotion of the horticulture? We will understand it in the next few minutes. Like I will tell you which are the fruit crops which are suitable for promotion of the horticulture crops or promotion of the horticulture component. And there is one more component terminology in this that is called as the pasture. So you all understand pasture is something related to the forages, something related to the fodder crops. So pasture is basically reference to it is a piece of land. It is a piece of land and it is a managed piece of land. It is not just a land. It is a managed piece of land which is put to use by growing grasses and legume component. By growing grasses and legume components, and these grasses may be one grass or multiple grasses, and same thing with the legume, maybe one legume or multiple legumes. So it is piece of land with both grasses and legumes, but it is managed. Why are we calling it as a managed land? See, management is, there are, when we talk about the management, there are different ways to manage the pasture. One of the way to manage the pasture, what we say is just letting the animals to graze. It may be used for the grazing purpose, or it may also be used for cut and carry system. So whatever the way the farmer wants to use it, he can use it, but it should be a managed piece of land. That we have to understand. And in that piece of land, it should have a grasses as well as the legumes. That forms the pasture component. Coming to the, there is one more actually terminology I am sure some of you might have heard about. It is called as the silvipasture. So what is silvipasture? What is the difference between horticulture if you want to understand? Then silvipasture is almost similar like the horticulture, but in silvipasture, instead of fruit crops, we make use of the general trees. General trees having some fodder value, like we can lop the trees to feed the animals. This is the usually they follow it. Otherwise, there is no fast rule that we should go for only those trees having the fodder value. We can use any trees. For example, one example is we can use the teak also to promote the silvipasture. So the horticulture and silvipasture both are having a slight difference, and both are the components of agroforestry systems. Both are components of the agroforestry systems. But why are we thinking to promote fodder crops in fruit trees? Why? What the purpose is, you all know that in the country we have very small land holdings, and farmers prefer to put their land for production of food grain crop or for production of the commercial crops. They are very much reluctant to allot their land for fodder production. So we are just thinking of alternative ways of enhancing the fodder availability. One of the best way to do is through horticulture. So we are promoting horticulture because we don't want to use the fertile land which is put to use for the production of food grains or commercial crops. Second thing is the country definitely faces fodder deficiency. As per the IGFRI analysis, the country faces around 11% green fodder deficiency. As of now, the country faces 11% green fodder deficiency. That is the main thing. And when it comes to the dry fodder, the country faces the dry fodder deficiency up to 30%. So and this fodder deficiency, whatever I am referring here, it is mainly during the normal rainfall year. When there is a excess rainfall, again the fodder deficiency increases, and when there is a low rainfall or drought conditions or drought-like situations, the fodder deficiency again increases. In either way, the fodder deficiency increases. Whatever the numbers I'm quoting, these are the fodder deficiency experienced by our country during the normal rainfall years. And the second thing is, the one more thing is to grow the fodder crops is many of the fruit trees. And I'm speaking particularly about the horticulture crops. Whenever the fruit trees attain a particular height, then maybe after 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, or 7 years, if it attains a particular height, the canopy of the tree becomes very wide. Then in between, there will be a shade effect. The farmers are not able to make use of the inter-row spaces in the orchards or in their plantations or in their fruit crops. So the inter-row spaces, it goes waste. So there are many fodder crops which are shade tolerant, which can come extremely well in the shade conditions. So we would like to make use of this shade as an issue or shade effect for cultivation of the fodder crops. Then we know that in the country, lot of livestock population is crossbreds, especially when we are talking about the cattle. So this crossbred requires lot of fodder and lot of feed. Only then we can realize their true potential in terms of the milk production. So to have a beneficial rearing of crossbred livestock, we need a good quality fodder crops. And also, as I mentioned earlier, there is an increasing concentrate or cost of concentrate feeds. It is increasing, and as a result, the reliance on concentrate feed is enhancing the cost of animal husbandry, and it is severely affecting the profit of animal husbandry. Many farmers are discontinuing the dairy farming just because of the non-availability of fodder or non-ensuring enough quantity of fodder for their livestock and relying more on the concentrate feed. So because the country is having this peculiar situation of different factors, we are promoting the hortipasture in the country. So the component in the hortipasture, I just mentioned that includes the fruit crops, but how to select the fruit crop? So one of the criteria for the selection of the fruit crop is, for example, we have 2 trees. We have 2 tree rows. One of the criteria to select the fruit crops is the distance between 2 trees. The distance between 2 trees must be minimum 6 meters. It must be minimum 6 meters. Here you can see that I have given here 2 tables. These are the fruit crops grown in southern part of the country, because we work on hortipasture in promotion of the hortipasture in southern part of the country, and to do that we did a basic analysis, and these are the fruit crops, around 36 fruits as well as the plantation crops. And this first list, if you can see, this is the list of the crop and also the spacing followed. These are the crops which are cultivated or which are planted with a distance of 6 meters. So these crops, if they are having or if they are spaced with less than 6 meters, then we should not consider these crops for promotion of the hortipasture. That is the first and foremost thing we need to keep in mind while selecting the suitable fruit crop for promotion of the hortipasture. And there is another table which has got around 23 different fruits and plantation crops, which have got minimum distance of 6 meter by 6 meter, and it goes up to 15 meter by 15 meter, 12 meter by 12 meters. But majority have more than 6 meter of distance. So this is the first criteria, you have to keep it in mind. But I will tell you why we have chosen 6 meters. The basic understanding of selecting 6 meter is that the first thing is the tree needs to be done with the every year. We have to do the basin clearing. We have to create a basin in all around the tree, which will help to loosen the soil as well as to put the fertilizer. The minimum the basin requirement is around 1.5 meter on either side of the tree. This side 1.5 meter, and also we need to have a 1.5 meter. So think about 1.5 meter as a radius, and we have to have a 1.5 meter radius as a basin. And this 1.5 meter is required, and we have to leave this much of space for promoting the horticulture. So this is 1.5 meter, and even in the next tree row, we have to leave the 1.5 meter. Together 1.5 meter and 1.5 meter, it makes 3 meter. Yeah. So once we leave this 3 meter space, we are left with another 3 meters, because I am mentioning that minimum 6 meter is required to promote the horticulture. So another 3 meter we have kept it because the width of the tractor along with any attachment is 3 meters. The width of the tractor along with any attachment is 3 meter. So if we want to make use of tractor for taking up the intercultivation, we need to have minimum 3 meter. There is a lot of labor issue. I'm sure all of you agree with me. So to ensure that there is a seamless operation of tractor, we need under 3 meters. So together it is making 6 meters. If it is less than 6 meters, we don't advocate promotion of horticulture. That is very important, because they're not, this first thing is the physical operations. Second thing is we have to give the enough nutrients even to the fruit trees, because for the farmers, fruit tree is the primary crop. Horticulture crop is the primary crop, and the pasture component, what we are adding, that is the secondary crop for them. So the selection of fruit trees is very, very important for the promotion of fruit crops. Hope you got this point, which is very important. What we did is we did one estimation of how much area is available in the southern part of the country for production of fodder in fruit crops. So we did this estimation. So here what we identified is, like in Andhra Pradesh. Here you can see in Andhra Pradesh, there are 7 major food crops which are grown having more than 6 meters. Similarly, in Karnataka, there are 7 crops. In Kerala, there are 6 crops. And in Tamil Nadu, there are 8 crops. These are the major crops which are grown with more than 6 meters. Then we identified which are those districts having these fruit crops under substantial coverage. Which are those districts? We analyzed even district-wise analysis. And what we noticed is only few districts, they have a large area. Large area means more than 50%. Together, They contribute more than 50% of the area under fruit crops or under plantation crops. For example, here you can see in Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra Pradesh, only in 4 districts, this is undivided Andhra Pradesh for your kind information. Only in 4 districts, the fruit crops area is more than 54.13%. Only in 4 districts. So even in promotion of the horticulture, it is not only the fruit crop selection, even the selection of the districts where you want to take up this activity is very, very important. You have to identify which are those districts in the state having more area under fruits and plantation crops. Similarly, in Karnataka, you can see that only 3 districts, Tumkur, Hassan, and Chikmagalur, only these 3 districts having area more than 50%. Only it doesn't make any sense if you want to go to any other districts and want to work on a horticulture, because ultimately we are trying to introduce horticulture in those areas where it should have a horizontal spread after 1 year or 2 years without our interventions. If we are aiming at that, then it is better to go to promote horticulture in those districts having large area and selected fruits and plantation crops. Similarly, in Kerala, only 5 districts. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, only 6 districts. So identification of the districts is also very, very important. So how much is the estimated green fodder production potential? If we are thinking about it, here you can see that 67 million tons of green fodder every year can be produced, which can cater to the green fodder requirement of around 14,000 adult cattle units. Adult cattle units we can feed with the total estimated green fodder production. This means that horticulture crops give us ample opportunity to introduce forages and realize a good amount of green fodder in those lands. So we did one initial study in basically in Tumkur and the Chikkaballapura area, which are having the coconut as well as the mango crops. But there are fodder crops which are selected by those farmers. Like we never insisted. We called them to our regional station. We showed them what are the different fodder crops. By the way, before continuing with this particular slides, I just would like you guys to recollect what are the fodder crops. What are the most popularly grown fodder crops? This is very, very important because some of you may not be working with the fodder crops. So I would like to name few. One which is very popular, which you all know, is Bajra Napier hybrid. Okay, Bajra Napier hybrid. This is one of the important crop, but this particular crop requires irrigation. And second crop is Guinea grass. Guinea grass is like, there are different varieties under each fodder crops. I'm not going in detail about what are those varieties. The third grass is perennial fodder sorghum. Perennial fodder sorghum. Likewise, we have many grasses, but I'm listing only which are very prominent. The fourth one is Rhodes grass. So all these, whatever I have listed, Bajra Napier hybrid, Guinea grass, perennial fodder sorghum, Rhodes, they all are cereal fodder crops, or they are grasses. We also have the legume component. We also have legume crops. So the very important legume crop all of you must have heard is alfalfa. So, and second one is Styloxanthus. These are two very important legumes. I'm quoting only two. Alfalfa is for the irrigated situation and stylo is for the dry land situation. So these are few fodder crops. Just I thought you guys to recollect some of the fodder crops, which is very relevant for this particular lecture. So we have Bajra Napier hybrid, we have Guinea grass, we have perennial fodder sorghum, and we have Rhodes grass. Even under legume, we have alfalfa or lucerne, we call it, and also stylosanthes. So these are the crops, and they require different kind of situations for expressing their full potential. Bajra Napier hybrid and Guinea grass, essentially they need the irrigation. Perennial fodder sorghum and Rhodes, they come up under rain-fed condition. Similarly, in legume component, the alfalfa requires irrigation and stylosanthes requires the dry land conditions. The farmers, around 50 farmers were called and they were asked to select or choose the crop based on their resource matrix, whatever is available to them. Many farmers, they went with the Bajra Napier hybrid. Here you can see Bajra Napier hybrid, Bajra Napier hybrid, Bajra Napier hybrid, everywhere. Because this is the crop which has got the potential to yield highest quantity of green fodder. Its green fodder production potential is around 300 tons per hectare per year to up to 600 tons per hectare per year. That means even every day, if you are putting this crop in 1 hectare land, every day the farmers can harvest 1 ton of green fodder. Every day they can, that is the potential, more than 1 ton. But even if you talk about the sugar cane, then even sugar cane will not yield this much. So farmers are so much impressed with Bajra Napier hybrid. It's like this. When we have a lot of money, when we have a lot of resources, we go and purchase the branded items, maybe a branded clothes or branded shoes. We have a lot of money. So we have become more conscious about the quality of the product we are buying. But when we are having the less money, then we go with the quantity. We are going only with the quantity. We are not considering about the quality parameters. In our country, the farmers in our country are still in that situation where they would like to meet out the fodder requirement of livestock in terms of quantity. If it fills the livestock stomach, they are very happy with it. That's it. They are not worrying about its quality. BNH, Bajra Napier hybrid, is one such crop which grows very tall, which yields. The scientific community, they say that Bajra Napier hybrid is not suitable for growing under fruit crops. They say. But our farmers, they consider this as an ideal crop to harvest more tonnage of green fodder. That is one point. Second, coming to the Guinea, here you can see Guinea is shade tolerant. 90% shade, even if it is there, it performs extremely well. And this Guinea is the crop which has got the lactogenic effect. Like if you feed this particular grass, then the milk production of the animal increases. Milk production of the animal enhances. But you can see how many of them have gone for Guinea. Only few. Here Guinea is there, and here Guinea is there. Not many. So farmers are still not considering the quality aspects. They have not reached still the particular stage where they can become more conscious about the quality. And here you can also see one of the factor here is they have gone to cultivate minimum 2 types of fodder crops, not just one type. That is a very good sign. That means that they are considering that the combination of the different fodder crops helps to meet out different nutritional requirement of the animals. There should not be any single fodder crops. We never impose for the farmers to grow for only single fodder crops. It should be 2, minimum 2 or more than 2. So this is one component. And here we also insist them to go for at least one legume. But when we are insisting to go for one legume forages have got their own challenges. It's very difficult to establish. And when it comes to alfalfa, it requires a lot of care. Even little bit of weed dominance, the crop will not be sustained. It just doesn't grow. So here we are seeing that many have not gone for this alfalfa. Instead, they have taken up the cowpea. So even if it is annual fodder crops, no issues. Even the farmers can go, and but we'll try to promote. We should try to promote that they should include the legume component in their horticulture system, because as you all know, legumes have many different advantages. So the title of the lecture says that the sustainability component in the horticulture can only be brought with the incorporation of the legume component. Here are some of the pictures where we worked, and these are mainly the farmers having the coconut, having the mango orchard, and with the irrigation facilities. This is the hybrid napier crop. And this is one crop which is called as a perennial fodder sorghum. He is the dryland farmer. So the most of the dryland farmer, they went with cultivation of the perennial fodder sorghum. Beautiful fodder crop it is. Like any amount of drought, like consecutively, if there is 2 years drought or 3 years drought or 4 years drought, this crop, once it establishes, it will never die. That is the beauty of this fodder crops. And wherever the rainfed situation, you can just see even in this slide how poorly the orchard is maintained. There is no orchard hygiene at all. Lot of weeds you can see. These are the weeds. Even then, how beautifully this crop has come up. You can just see how tall it is. So this is the beauty of this particular fodder crops. Wherever the rainfed situation is there, we always advise the farmers to go with, are unable to give much attention. We always advise them to go with perennial fodder sorghum. So this is another crop again, but I have included this particular slide only for the reason that this is the, actually he has grown under the sapota tree. But if it is grown under the sapota tree, there are some few management issues, because sapota bears fruits twice a year. So for the harvesting purpose and all, it might in between, but still it is the decision to be left with farmers. If they are okay with it, we can also advocate. So this is another fodder, again is another photograph of another farmer. And coming to the again dryland conditions, so most of the, we did this work in the Tumakuru district of Karnataka, where we have a large area under the coconut plantations, but it is rain-fed coconut plantation. So the farmers prefer to go for the perennial sorghum. This is the picture of how it is performing under the coconut plantations. By doing this, by promoting horticulture in the farmers' field, how it is helping to address the fodder, how it is helping to address the fodder deficiency. So here are the two tables, how it has addressed. Initially, on an average, the farmers experienced around 50%, around 50 to 55% fodder shortage before introducing our fodder crops in the fruits and plantation crops. And when we introduced, after 1 year, it reduced considerably to only 9%, 9 to 10%. That means there was a 40% reduction in the fodder deficiency experienced by the farmers. So this is the potential. That means that it has saved the considerable cost incurred either in purchase of fodder or in purchase of the concentrate feeds by the farmers. And if we consider to what extent they're able to harvest the green fodder in the horticulture scenario, here you can see that around 140%, around 140% of 140 140 tons of green fodder. This is tons. So 140 tons of green fodder they are able to harvest every year in 1 hectare land of fruit crops, or in 1 hectare land of orchards or plantations. So this is the potential the horticulture carries to address the fodder situation, or to address the fodder deficiency experienced by the farmers. So we also did some of the analysis, like actually what factors contribute for the farmers to go for the horticulture technology. Why do they go for the horticulture technologies? But main thing are only 4 factors came. The fodder yield of the fodder crops, like they grow better, they yield better as compared to the native grasses. Then if the farmers have an area under fruits crops or plantation crops, then definitely they will go for it. Plus, there is one more thing, that the land topography. Like most of this, especially the fruit crops, are grown in those lands which are having less fertile soil and which are located in the hillock situations or slopy land. Both matters. The less fertile soils, the farmers take up plantations of the fruit crops. Then in such land they don't want to cultivate the food crop because of the poor yield or poor performance. So they usually leave that land vacant, and in such situation it's always ideal to promote the fodder crops. So the land topography matters a lot. Not only the land topography, even the type of the soil. It is very, very important. Then it promotes. Usually, the horticulture, if we piece of land which is put under the forages or grasses and legumes in the food crops of such land having poor soil fertility, which are having poor soil conditions. So this type of the soil matters a lot, apart from many other factors. The first thing I just mentioned, that it addressed to reduce the fodder shortage. I have already explained this particular slide, this particular factor, that is the average shortage of the fodder reduced from 50% to the 9% of the requirement. So the out of the, for example, out of 100 farmers, before 60%, means 60 farmers experienced the fodder shortage. But after that, this 60 farmers reduced to only 10 farmers. Out of 100 farmers, before 60 farmers were experiencing fodder shortage. But after that, 10 farmers had foreign fish. This particular photo, you can see how the land is slopey. It is under the hillock. Such land, here you can see the red soil. So such lands are highly suitable for promotion of the horticultures. Coming to the how it has benefited the farmer, the first thing is expenditure on feeds reduced to the extent of 28%. Just by cultivation of the fodder crop. See, fodder crops, when we are talking about, they are very easy to manage. Unlike food crops, they don't demand a lot of nutrients or fertilizer. They don't demand any of the plant protection measures. These are the crops, especially the perennial ones, very easy to grow, very easy to manage. So all whatever is needed in the system is just to make farmers familiar with the fodder crops. That's all. We have to act as a catalyst, just initiate, just ignite their system. Then it just spreads from one farmer to another farmer for the reason that they're very easy to manage. No fertilizer requirement. Even just if they irrigate the crops with the whatever the washed water, means whatever the cow shed they wash it, whatever the cow shed washed water is allowed to irrigate to the fodder crops, that is sufficient. They don't demand any extra fertilizers. So very cost effective. Second thing is they don't need any of the plant protection measures except few crops like lucerne, and that too it's very minimal. So it becomes very easy to work with the fodder crops and with the horticulture systems. So the concentrate feeds reduced by 28%, and the subsequent years definitely it got reduced. But what about the milk production? I told Bajra Napier hybrid is only quantitative. It yields lot of tonnage, but not quality-wise. It's not at all a good fodder. But even then, the milk production increased per animal per day about 1 liter. I don't say exactly 1 liter, but about 1 liter it increased. Which is it's not only it is saving, it is also enhancing the milk yield. And the other factors, you just leave it. So for example, labor use. Farmers would go long distance to fetch the fodder. So for that, they need more labor. They have to traverse lot of kilometers to fetch the fodder. So all this has made the life easy for the farmers. It is time saving for them, so that they can invest their time for any other productive work. Even the use of feed reduced. And when I asked about whether it helped, because see, fodder crops, we are not considering only from the point of view of giving green fodder to the animals. It has got many other benefits. First thing is, farmers told soils erosion reduced by 100%. Reduced by 100%. It's not only with the farmers, it is my experience of working with the farmers, working with the different organizations. For example, we work with the National Highways Authority of India, and we have one patch of highway where the road goes in an elevated position. On either side, we have put our grasses. It's almost 10 years. It is coming up beautifully without even 1 centimeter of soil erosion there. So even with the horticulture, we can reduce the soil erosion. We can improve the water penetration. Why the water penetration improves is for the reason that if we compare the root system of grasses and the root system of food crop, there is a lot of variation. The grasses help to control the soil erosion, means their root biomass is very high. They go in depth. And also they have got a lot of secondary root system which will help to enhance the organic matter content in the soil and improves the soil penetration ability. So the 100% water penetration. The main thing is weed intensity. The farmers, what they do is they keep doing agricultural operation in orchards and plantations if the inter-row space is not used. That is an extra cost for them. Even if 1 acre, we want to clean 1 acre of mango orchard, minimum 6,000 rupees is the expenditure required for the hiring of the tractor and getting it clean. So, but by growing these fodder crops in between the fruit trees or in between the plantation crop, the weed intensity reduced by 100%. That means it's not just the number of the weed I mean here. If the more weeds are there, it harbors, as you all know, it harbors many pests and it harbors many insects. So by reducing the weed, there are so many beneficial effects. And also, many farmers were not aware about fodder crops because no agriculture department is not working. State agriculture department is not working. Animal husbandry, veterinary scientists, they only speak about animal health care or treatment or disease. Then when it comes to forest departments, they only talk about their trees and wild animals. They are not bothered about whether wild animals are getting sufficient grass or not. Nobody is talking about the fodder crops. So when we went and introduced or promoted the horticulture component, the farmers came to know about, okay, there are fodder crops of different types. And in each type, there are different varieties. So their knowledge level increased. And coming to the orchard temperature, the microclimate of the orchard is totally got changed. Even orchard temperature reduced. So these are many of the benefits the farmers obtained by cultivating or by intercropping forages in their fruits and plantation crops. Here I want to show, because I was emphasizing about the weed intensity. So this is the field of the same farmer field it is. And in the left side, in this particular picture, you can just see the extent of weeds which have harbored in this particular patch. In one patch, we have introduced the fodder crops. In another patch, very next to this row, we have just left it as it is, just to see what would be the difference at the end of the year. So here you can see so many weeds, but in this particular crop, you are not finding any weeds at all. So this is basically a guinea grass cultivar grazing tank. That means it's a grazing guinea. This particular farmer wanted to graze their animals, not to go for a cut time carry system. So we thought we'll introduce the grazing guinea grass. This beautiful grass has got some of the advantages. First, it is rain-fed grass. Second thing is animal enjoy grazing it. The more the animal graze, the better the growth of this particular crop. It grows beautifully. So that is the reason we introduced this particular crop, and it's 100%. It has got the lactogenic effect, enhances the yield of the milk yield of the animals. So this is one of the important photographs, how leaving the interrow spaces without taking up the fodder component enhances the weed intensity, and how by introducing the fodder crops in between the tree rows, how we can maintain the orchard hygiene, reduce the weed intensity, so reduce the harboring of pest and diseases to the main crop. So I was just mentioning that our role is just to catalyze the farmers that look, there are different types of fodder crops available for introducing in our leftover interrow spaces of the grown-up tree crop. We have to just ignite their minds, ignite their situations, and ignite their cropping system. And once we ignite, and once they get convinced, then the spread will be horizontal. Like, we don't need to go for the vertical spread. So this is the spread we have observed, that many farmers visited and asked for the seed material. Everyone are not ready to give the seeds to the other farmers. So many farmers asked for the seed material, seed from where they can get the seed source. Unfortunately, in our country, still availability of fodder seed is a challenge. Most of the private companies, almost all the private companies nowadays are not doing with the business of selling perennial fodder seeds. Among the government organizations, only few are involved, including the IGFRI. I would say that IGFRI is the main institute which is into production of the fodder seeds. So even getting the seed is difficult for them, and knowing about the seed source is also considered as one of the important way to empower the farmers to think about horticulture technology technology to be implemented in his farmers field. But just within 1 year, 14 other farmers, apart from our project farmers, they had already planted their area and planted their horticulture or orchard and plantations with the fodder crops. Means they brought their plantation into a horticulture mode. So with this, I would like to mention that the horticulture technology is one of the most potential technology, one of the most interesting technology also for taking up studies either by the animal science people or crop science people or horticulture people or even for that matter forestry people. It fits in all the specialization. It can be used for studying the various specialized fields, maybe soil related, insect, pest, horticulture component, forage or animal component. So it gives them wide opportunity to take up the studies. One of the important photo I would like to enhance is this particular photo. I was mentioning that it's very, very difficult to establish a legume component in the farmer's field because, for your information, most of the fodder crops have germination of only 30%, not more beyond that, only 30% if it is propagated by seed. And most of the legumes are propagated by seeds. Grass is okay, they are propagated by vegetatively, so the establishment is not an issue. But carrying the seed propagation material is an issue, but establishment is not an issue. But in case of legumes, it's always a challenge. But here, this particular crop is the Styloxanthus crop. You can see how beautifully it has come out. The credit goes to the farmer who has taken extra care in getting good establishment. This is the Styloxanthus crop. The moment we establish this particular crop, it has got many advantages. First thing is it can be used as a
Ma'am, sorry to disturb. We have another lecture at 12:15. Please try to conclude it in next 5 minutes.
okay. So it has got the fodder value. Second is it can be used as a mulch. It can be used as a green mulch, or it can also be dried and used as a leaf meal. It can be dried and it can be used as a leaf meal. And you all know that being a legume component, it fixes the nitrogen. In the atmospheric nitrogen, it fixes and it enhances. So if we are able to successfully introduce legume component in the horticulture, then it is considered as a good, I would say that it's a good achievement. So with this, I would like to just share how it has helped some of the farmers to enhance the income. In one of the farmers, it helped to enhance income to 36,000 rupees per month. And in another farmer, it almost enhanced up to 45 to 90,000. The main component here is fodder because most of the animal husbandry expenditure is about 70 to 80% on feeding. So if we tap this particular expenditure and ensure that it reduces, then it will be a good achievement. So some of the farmers also took up the seed production. I'm not going for that because it itself is a different subject. So with this, I would say thank you to all of you for keeping your attention. I hope you have kept the attention and you are carrying one message that horticulture is a very promising technology to work with farmers. Or horticulture is one area where we can think of doing some more experiments to make it more precise and perfect. So thank you so much once again. And thanks to NADSCL for giving me the opportunity to share whatever the knowledge I have with all of you.